Are you enjoying Theatrephonic's plays? Do you want more content? Well, on the Theatrephonic Patreon, we have ad-free episodes, blooper reels, and Q&A sessions, as well as the opportunity to watch the live recordings and name a character in a play. Visit patreon.com/Theatrephonic for more information. That's patreon.com/Theatrephonic to get more of what you love.
Bong, bong.
Theatrephonic presents Gnomes, written and directed by Emmeline Braefield.
Ba-ya-da.
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 Ba-ya-da. Ba-ya-da.
Good afternoon and welcome to Newstime. I am Martha Weedy. Our headlines for today. Are squirrels attempting to take over the world? Britain has reacted with confusion after a squirrel has announced its plan to run for Yorkshire's Calder Valley County Council. Plans for HS Flume are set to change once more, following a Newstime investigation which unveiled evidence that the proposed anti-algae chemicals were in fact radioactive. A riot has broken out in Canterbury, Kent, between local knitting and crocheting groups. A wool shortage was the stitch that broke the yarn, and a street brawl broke out between the two sets of creative clubs. Chief Constable Michelle Warner of Kent Police has commented that discussions are ongoing to darn up the situation. Now it's time for this week's Newstime Distraction Corner. We have in the studio Bob Rising, who has the most dramatic tale to tell. Hello, Bob.
Hello, Martha. Very glad to be here.
Now, Bob, I believe that it would be best to hear the story directly. Should we say, from the horse's mouth?
Yes, there aren't actually any horses in my story, Martha.
Well, of course not. Anyway, go ahead and explain what happened.
Well, I am a very keen gardener. I enter a lot of my vegetables into competitions and often have open days in my garden to show off my roses. I was working in my garden one night.
Excuse me, one night? How come it was so late?
Yes, I burn very easily, so when it's hot I do my gardening in the evening, when it is cooler and also dark because the sun has gone in.
Of course. Please continue.
Well, I was working in my garden one night, weeding and the such like. I was crouching down, attending to my aubergines when it happened.
When what happened?
I was attacked.
Oh.
I felt something hit the back of my head and then everything went dark. When I woke up, I was in a completely different location. I thought I was in hospital until I realised that the room was far too small to be in a hospital.
How small was the room?
Why, I barely fit in it, and I am only 4'11". I don't even know how I got there, as the doors didn't even reach my hips.
Oh, that must have been very claustrophobic.
Yes, very. I lay there for a bit, trying to work out where I was and what was happening, when I heard voices coming from a different room.
Oh, gosh, how very scary. What were they saying?
Well, I couldn't understand them. It was something foreign, but not a language I recognised, and I am well versed from my encyclopedia on foreign languages. Well, of course, I was terrified that I'd been kidnapped by terrorists, possibly for the secrets of how I make my roses bloom so well.
Well, that is, I suppose, a logical conclusion.
Well, either that or the government, and they were speaking in code.
Of course, yes.
But then the kidnappers entered the room.
And who did these kidnappers turn out to be?
Gnomes.
Did you just say gnomes?
Yes, my garden gnomes.
Your garden gnomes?
Yes, I've always had a large collection because my husband, Larry, is very fond of them. The leader was the largest gnome I have. He has a blue beard and holds a rake, which he was waving about as he talked.
Oh, did the leader have a name?
Well, I've always called him Raker on account of him holding a rake.
Oh, of course, yes.
But funnily enough, he told me that his name was in fact Ray Carr.
Very droll. So you could understand them now.
Well, yes, of course, they were speaking English to me. They appeared to be very excited, and I had the impression that I was like an animal in a zoo.
Scary feeling.
Very. Anyway, Ray Carr tells me that I'm currently in their kingdom below my garden, and that they have been watching me for a long time while I tended to the garden. They believe that I have this mysterious magic they call the Green Thumb, which enables me to bring anything to life. They had been admiring my gardening abilities and thought that it was due to sorcery rather than skill. Well, Betty down the road says that as well, but it's not. It's all just skill. Ray Carr explained that their ability to move is limited to certain conditions, such as the time of year, but they want the freedom to move all the time. Then he said that they were going to conduct experiments on me to establish the strength of my power and whether they could harness this magic to give them permanent life.
Wow, there is a lot to unpack there. What kind of experiments?
I wasn't sure at first, but I did not like the sound of it, so I said I didn't want to.
And how did they react to that?
Well, they made it evident that I didn't have a choice in the matter.
Oh, how shocking. Did you try to leave?
Well, I couldn't leave through the door as I was too big. Given that Ray Carr told me that we were presently in a type of den below my garden, I was considering stretching out and simply breaking upwards. However, I was concerned that I might damage some of my award-winning plants, especially the roses, and my aubergines are doing particularly well this year, so I decided against that course of action.
Oh, quite understandable.
At that point, they brought me through some pinkish liquid in a very small cup. Well, it smelled absolutely delicious. They offered it to me, so I drank it.
That was very brave of you.
Well, I was very thirsty. The den was very dusty and not kept very well. I mean, would it kill them to have a clean and a hoover every now and again? Anyway, the drink was incredible. Elderflower and rose cordial with an additional sparkle.
Sparkle?
Yes, a sparkle. Though that was probably what did it.
Did what?
Well, it shrank me.
You shrank?
Yes, to the size of a gnome. Although I'm not quite sure why they didn't do that before transporting me into their kingdom. It probably would have saved them a lot of time and effort. I don't know how long I was unconscious for, but, you know. Anyway, they took me through to some kind of laboratory and got me to sit on a toadstool.
How very stereotypical of them.
Well, it was surprisingly comfortable, you know. Good lumbar support. And then one of the scientist gnomes from our collection came up to me. He wears a lab coat and holds a test tube. We call him Einstein because he's got E equals MC squared on the back of his hat. Oh, he is lovely, very sweet. So he approached me and taps the toadstool. And a cloud of spores come out and surround me for about a minute before they disappeared. Einstein then whispered to Ray Carr very solemnly.
Well, that sounds ominous.
Well, that's what I thought. Eventually, Ray Carr claps for attention and states that they were wrong. I don't have a drop of magic in me, and I've been wasting their time. Then everything went dark again.
Gosh, and what happened then?
Well, I woke up in my roses. Crushed a lot of them. I'm very disappointed. I was normal-sized again, and with 2 large bumps on the back of my head and an awful migraine.
What a sudden end to such a dramatic tale. What made you get in touch with us?
Well, I went straight back indoors and told Larry what had happened. Well, he didn't believe me, of course. He said I just had a few too many wines the night before and had a dream after falling asleep outside.
Oh, that must have been very disappointing, that your own husband didn't believe you.
Well, very. Eventually he said to me if I was willing to go to Newstime and tell my story, that he would believe me. So here I am. I got in touch with you, and now he has to believe me, doesn't he?
Well, thank you for sharing your harrowing story with us, Bob. Before I ask you any more questions, I would like to introduce Dennis Rington to the programme. Dennis is a renowned cryptozoologist whose recent book, Things That Go Bump in the Night and Things That Will Definitely Bite, recently topped the bestsellers list. Welcome, Dennis.
Oh, yes, good afternoon, hello, and, in fact, hi, Martha, thank you for having me. And that book again is Things That Go Bump in the Night and Things That Will Definitely Bite.
Yes. So, Dennis, magical garden gnomes. Is this a new zoological discovery?
Well, you see, Martha, in fact, as you'll read in Things That Go Bump in the Night and Things That Will Definitely Bite.
Yes.
Gnomes have been a commonly known spirit in England since the 16th century.
Oh.
Similar forms are found in many other cultures, such as leprechauns from Ireland, or the duende from España, or the Philippines. They have been written into countless fantasy and folklore tales and accounts, and in fact stories. I do find it fascinating that they came to Bob in the form of his garden gnomes. However, particularly as they are in fact generally known to be larger than their ornamental counterparts. Very cunning form of disguise. Yes. Tell me, Bob, do you find your gnomes change positions, places, areas, or in fact locations during the year without your having moved them any?
Oh, yes. I always thought that Larry or one of the neighbours, probably Betty, she always gives me the eye when I walk past, were moving them to play a trick on me. I never considered that they would be moving themselves.
Understandable, yes. I empathise, sympathise, I get it. In fact, I understand.
Oh, that's very good of you.
Yes. Gnomes can be very sneaky like that. It is amazing that they even show themselves to you, let alone conversed with you. There are incredibly few documented interactions with gnomes, and I would love to visit your garden, Bob, to see if they would talk, speak, or in fact converse with me.
Well, it's unlikely they will, in my humble opinion. You see, they never spoke to Larry, and he's the one who cares for them the most. He always gives them a clean or touches up their paintwork. I'm always joking that he loves them more than me.
Yes. Bob, you mentioned that you sat on a mushroom toadstool during your ordeal.
Yes.
Yes, also, yes, in fact, yes, it's good. Do a lot of mushrooms grow in your garden, Bob?
Oh, well, they do pop up here and there.
Yes, I thought so. I was thinking that. I believe so, yes. Have you ever eaten any of those mushrooms, Bob?
Well, sometimes you take them in and start frying them up. I say, what are you implying, sir?
So, Bob, have the gnomes contacted you since your kidnapping?
No, not a peep. Larry said I wasn't allowed to throw them out. But I do feel like they look at me funny now. I'm worried they might destroy my cabbages. Out of revenge. It would be awful if they did. My cabbages could be real contenders at this year's competition.
Dennis, what do you think they were doing with the toadstool spores that surrounded Bob?
Well, not being a gardener, seedsman, or in fact a horticulturalist at all, I can't say for certain. However, the spores given off from fungi are single-celled that then reproduce to grow into further mycelium. Perhaps, possibly, maybe the gnomes were able to manipulate these cells to identify certain elements, such as magical properties. As you will learn in Things That Go Bump in the Night and Things That Will Definitely Bite, some cryptids have the ability to manipulate completely normal substances to do incredible, amazing, and in fact quite astounding things.
I see. Given this shocking revelation that our garden gnomes may be coming to life and spying on all the green-fingered enthusiasts out there, what do you recommend that any concerned viewers do?
Yes, of course. Well, you see, yes, it is difficult, not easy, and in fact quite hard to say. I would advise restraint for the present. Please don't start smashing all your decorations for now. Anybody who is suspicious should keep an eye on their gnomes, checking to make sure that there is no unexplained change in their locations, places, and in fact areas. Also, make sure that you thoroughly read my book, Things That Go Bump in the Night and Things That Will Definitely Bite, to see if there is anything that matches your suspicions. If anyone has any further worries, then I would recommend that they email me at theatrephonic@gmail.com, and I can conduct an omnispectrum analysis with the professional equipment that I own and, in fact, keep in my garage.
Thank you, Bob and Dennis, for joining me today.
Oh, you're most welcome. Thank you, Martha. And Larry, I told you I was right. You have to believe me now. That's a bottle of red you owe me. And Betty, if you're listening, my roses are going to beat yours at the county fair.
And buy my book and contact me at theatrephonic@gmail.com.
Coming up on News Time after the break, we follow the ongoing political debacle as the moon tries to sever its ties with the Earth. And we will be joined by Eleanor Wren, 3-time World Egg and Spoon Race champion, to find out what it means to truly be an athlete. Goodbye for now.
Bye.
Buy my book, Things That Go Up in the Night, Things That Definitely Right.
You've been listening to Gnomes, written and directed by Emmeline Braefield, with Pippa Meekings as Martha Weedy, Rob Keeves as Bob Rising, and Ashley Shiers as Dennis Rington. Produced by Cat on a Piano Productions. For a full list of the music in this production, please see the show notes. The Theatrephonic theme tune was composed by Jackson Pentland, performed by Jackson Pentland, Mollie Fyfe-Taylor, and Emmeline Braefield. For more information about the Theatrephonic podcast, go to catonapiano.uk/Theatrephonic, tweet or Instagram us at Theatrephonic, or visit our Facebook page. If you enjoy Theatrephonic and would like to get more content, please consider becoming a patron by going to patreon.com/Theatrephonic. Please don't forget to rate and review. Thank you for listening.